Today we're taking a look at these NHL matches, which are happening on Friday, May 12, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. Florida Panthers vs Toronto Maple Leafs. After a slow start to the year after winning the President's Trophy last year and getting bounced from the playoffs in the second round in the Battle of Florida against their rival Lightning, the Florida Panthers really rallied in the second half of the season. They finished the regular season in the second and final wild card spot in the East with a 42-32-8 record, a point ahead of the Penguins and the Sabres. Despite closing out the regular season with 2 losses, they closed the regular season hot with a 6-1-1 record in their last 8 games. Florida has been very good offensively this season. They're averaging 3.51 goals per game, the 6th most in the NHL, on an average of 36.8 shots per game. They've generated the most expected goals, 3.8 per game, and the most high-danger shots in the league. The Panthers' power play has scored on 22.8% of their chances, the 10th best in the NHL. Matthew Tkachuk, 109 points, 69 assists, who was acquired in the offseason from the Calgary Flames and became an excellent addition to the Cats, and Carter Verhaeghe, 42 goals, lead Florida in scoring this season. The Panthers pulled off the biggest upset in NHL history in the first round, knocking off the greatest regular season team in NHL history in 7 games, defeating the President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins. It was an insane win. The Bruins broke the record for the best regular season in history, with the most points and most wins in league history. They dominated the regular season and even had a 3-1 series lead with several opportunities to end it, but the Panthers came back, with a little luck on their side, to knock off Boston in overtime of Game 7. After splitting the first 2 games in Boston to open the series where the Bruins played pretty lousy hockey at home, the BS won the next 2 games in Florida pretty easily to put the Panthers on the brink of elimination. In Game 5 at home in Boston, the Bruins were by far the dominant team, outshooting Florida 47-25 and outplaying them by an expected goal rate of 4.5 to 3.86, but the Panthers still got extended the series with a fantastic performance in goal from Sergei Bobrovsky in a 4-3 overtime win for the Panthers on Matthew Tkachuk's game winner. After the first 2 games of this series, the Bruins were the far better team in the series, dominating games 3, 4, and 5, despite losing game 5, which they likely should have finished this series in, as they put 47 shots on the Panthers. Game 6 in Florida was highly entertaining, with the Panthers winning 7-5 at home in a game that saw 7 third-period goals. Boston outshot the Panthers 34-33 and led twice in the third period, but couldn't get it done, and Florida outplayed the Bruins by an expected goal rate of 4.85-4.02. In Game 7, the Panthers ended the series in overtime, with Brandon Montour scoring the game-tying goal with just a minute left in regulation to force overtime, and then Carter Verhaeghe scoring the game-winner 8:35 into overtime. Boston outshot Florida 36-31 and outplayed them by an expected goal rate of 2.98-2.59. Going into this series, I thought the Leafs had gotten the monkey off their back, getting out of the first round for the first time since 2004. But the Toronto curse seems to have followed them to the second round, as Florida has been the better team in this series. Although the Leafs were the better team in the first 2 games of the series, Florida still found a way to win both of those games, and then the Panthers were the better team in games 3 and 4 to take the commanding lead in this series. That's not to discredit the Panthers at all, as they've played great on both ends of the ice. Sergei Bobrovsky has been incredible in goal, and Florida's defense has been a great job at limiting the scoring of the Leafs, holding Toronto's core 4 scoreless through the first 3 games of the series. In Game 4, the Leafs ground out a 2-1 win on the road to avoid getting swept. I see no way that the Maple Leafs find a way to get out of this series, and I expect it to end with a Florida win on the road tonight. Take the Panthers to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. I expected the games in this series to trend over, just like both teams trended over in the first round. The over went 6-1 in the Bruins-Panthers series and 4-2 in the Leafs-Bolts series. Game 1 of this series should have hit the over, with so many great opportunities for both teams, especially Toronto to score. Games 2 and 3 should have hit the over as well, both coming a tying goal short. Both offenses have been fantastic across the playoffs. The Leafs have scored the 9th most goals in the NHL, having generated the 8th most expected goals and the 4th most high-danger shots in the league, and they scored the 3rd most goals in the first round of the playoffs. The Panthers scored the 6th most goals in the NHL. They generated the most expected goals and the most high-danger shots in the league. In their first-round series against Boston, they scored the 5th most goals in the first round. In this series, both teams have been generating plenty of good scoring chances that just haven't come through with goals. With this being an elimination game for Toronto, I expect there to be chaos in the third period, especially if Florida is up in the third period, which they've been in the first 3 games of this series. They were down 2-1 in the third period of Game 4. That should help push this game over the total and finally hit in this series. Take the over 6.5 goals. Edmonton Oilers vs Vegas Golden Knights. Edmonton was superb on offense this season. Edmonton ranked 1st in goals per game and 6th in shots per game. Connor McDavid led the Oilers with a whopping 153 points. McDavid was 1st in points, 1st in goals, and 1st in assists in the league. Leon Draisaitl had 128 points on the year, and he was 2nd in points, 4th in goals, and tied for 3rd in assists in the league. The offense was very good in the first-round playoff series. The Oilers scored 4 or more goals in 4 out of the 6 games in round 1. Edmonton's offense was not the problem in the Game 1 loss against Vegas. The Oilers scored 4 goals in Game 1 of the second round. Edmonton scored 5 goals in a Game 2 victory. Game 3 was a different story for the offense as they scored just 1 goal. The offense bounced back in a Game 4 victory, scoring 4 goals. Draisaitl has 18 points, and McDavid has 17 points in the playoffs. The Knights were average on offense during the season. Vegas ranked 16th in goals per game and 15th in shots per game. Jack Eichel led the team with 66 points during the season. In the first round, Vegas scored 4 or more goals in games 2, 3, 4, and 5. The offense got off to a great start in Game 1 of the second round, scoring 6 goals against the Oilers. Game 2 was a different story for the offense, as they scored just 1 goal. The offense bounced back in Game 3, scoring 5 goals. Game 4 was a struggle for the offense as Vegas scored just 1 goal. Mark Stone leads the team with 11 points in the playoffs. Edmonton won Game 4 and evened the series 2-2. The offense has been very good for the Oilers in this series and in the playoffs. The Oilers scored 4 or more goals in 4 out of 6 games in round 1, and they have scored 4 or more goals in 3 out of 4 games in this series. Leon Draisaitl has 18 points, and Connor McDavid has 17 points in the playoffs. Vegas's offense has been inconsistent in this series. They scored 5 or more goals in their 2 wins, but scored 1 goal in each of their 2 losses in the series against the Oilers. Edmonton's 2 superstars will be the difference in Game 5, and the offense will continue to roll. The Oilers will win Game 5 and take a 3-2 series lead. Take Edmonton on the money line. The defense and goaltending were both very good for the Golden Knights during the season. They ranked 11th in goals against per game and 13th in shots against per game. Laurent Brossoit started each of the 5 games in the first round of the playoffs for the Golden Knights. Brossoit allowed 4 goals in Games 1 and 3. In Games 2, 3, and 5, he allowed 2 or fewer goals in each of the 3 games. Brossoit allowed 4 goals on 27 shots faced in a Game 1 victory in the second round against Edmonton. He struggled in a Game 2 loss, allowing 5 goals on 32 shots faced. Brossoit was injured midway through the first period in Game 3. Adin Hill replaced Brossoit, and Hill stopped all 24 shots faced to help the Golden Knights take a 2-1 series lead. Adin Hill started Game 4, and he allowed 4 goals on 33 shots faced. In the first round, Vegas scored 4 or more goals in Games 2, 3, 4, and 5. They got off to a great start on offense in Game 1, scoring 6 goals against the Oilers. Vegas scored 5 goals in Game 3. The Oilers scored 4 or more goals in each of the first 2 games of this series, and in Game 4. Leon Draisaitl has 6 goals in this series, scoring 4 in Game 1 and 2 in Game 2. Connor McDavid has 7 points in the first 4 games of this series. The total went over 6.5 in all 4 meetings during the season between the Oilers and Golden Knights and in Game 1 of the playoff series. This will be a high-scoring game, and the over will hit in Game 5. Take the over, 6.5 goals.